Hey, welcome back to the podcast. We are here with Friedrich Kisters from OriginStamp.com, and we are going to be talking to a man who is a Swiss art collector. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's a tech patent holder with a focus on counterfeit security and data integrity. We'll be talking about blockchain-based technology, blockchain projects, and so much more. So, Friedrich, glad to be talking to you.
Well, pleasure talking to you, Robert.
Okay, so that the feeling is mutual. We have our little conversational handshake. And can you tell us about what is your current passion? What is wrong with the world today? What is the problem that you are solving, and who are you solving it for?
Well, let's go into what will be right in this world tomorrow, more than what's wrong today. I'm always very positive thinking. And, basically, I think what the most important mission right now is to avoid counterfeits, right? And I'm coming from the art world, so counterfeits are well known. Today, you obviously have a different approach. I mean, if you want, we're in a virtual world. And what is a counterfeit in a virtual world? Well, it's actually if your information gets changed without your knowledge, because there is no counterfeit. I can copy your information, so you have two originals. But if I change something and I say, well, this is yours, but actually it wasn't, because I changed it. So what do you do then? So I think the most important thing is that you make sure your information is trustworthy, even to yourself. Can you do that today?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a whole other world, right? It's like if I have my pen and if someone steals it, that's one thing. But if my money in a bank account, or like my proof of ownership of a piece of art, if it's on a computer record somewhere and someone changes it or copies it, it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, exactly. Now you get the cool things like algorithms that go speech to image, right? So I'm going to say, well, Robert is now riding on a white horse, with an arrow in his hands, whatever. And it will create that image. Now, behind you, the neighbor's daughter is sitting, So that might be a problem for you then. And you may want to say, well, this is fake. Now, how can you? So, information that is being changed without your knowledge is actually one of the biggest problems of today. And it's one of the greatest solutions for tomorrow to solve that problem.
And what is the solution exactly?
Well, the issue is, I mean, you want to avoid fakes, you have to answer three questions. Who did it? When did he do it, or she? And what did he or she actually do, right? You can solve the what. You have possibilities to use private public keys to protect your information. You can solve the who did it with, for example, an EID, but the when is very tricky, because your system time is not reliable. So basically what we do is we create a system where we create a seal that is being saved in three public blockchains. So once you have that seal in the three public blockchain, no one can take it away from you or change it. You still keep the original information. Well, here you go. Here you have the original information. Maybe someone can change it, but here you have the seal. And if that doesn't match anymore, well, someone tampered it. So you have a proof, and it's very easy.
And so in this, on all this kind of blockchain thinking, the way that my mind works with this is I think of like in two modes. There's like the inside and the outside. And I think of, okay, inside, if I'm not sure exactly the mechanics of how this works, like, is the seal accurate and all that, that's kind of one way of thinking. And then once I have that covered, then I kind of move outside and I think, okay, now that we can abstract this and say the seal works, right? It's valid. It's a thing that is functioning because I've already kind of done the inside thinking. And on the outside thinking, then that's where the fun happens, right? That's when we can say, where do we apply the seal? And so how are people using this technology of yours?
Well, first of all, you can protect your IP. So if you're in a large company, you have a great idea, you go into a meeting, 10 other people are there. Possibly after that meeting, someone else owns that idea, and you have no proof that you had it before. Without solution, you have a proof very quickly, very easily. I mean, you know, you can use, there's even a free app you can download, OriginStamp app. You just timestamp your thought in a matter of seconds, and then you have a proof. You can say, look, you say you had your ID. Now show me when you had your ID. I can show you when I had it. Then you can simply compare and say, look, I was first. Now, that is one application that is very straightforward, but there are more. Let's say you have certainly signed contracts with a qualified electronic signature, right? How do you archive that?
Not sure.
Well, it's very difficult because you should keep that for 11 years, you know, until the end of the year you signed. You have it in your records, and then plus 10 years. So, well, this is tricky. If you can't prove that, for example, in Switzerland, if you can't prove that nothing changed, and if you can't show who accessed that data, you call that in Switzerland Geschäftsbücherverordnung. Incredible thing. You have to show physically that this has been unchanged. Easy if you print it out and put it into a cupboard. Now, first of all, you don't want to do that anymore. And second of all, well, if you print out a qualified electronic signature, it's gone. So you can't. So you need a reliable way of how to store it. And the only way you may get is a worm. Write once, read many. It's not entirely safe, but that would work. The unfortunate thing is that a worm is very expensive. So, well, you will be spending something between, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 Swiss francs for that, or US dollars. And then you're happily storing your qualified electronic signature. However, I think you won't do that. So the point is you need a quick and reliable and quick and relatively cheap solution. And that's where we can offer solutions, you know, where you can, you know, you may be faced with some $200 a month cost as a large company with 20 people. But then this is like 2 hours time of your secretary, or let's say 4 hours time of your secretary, depending on how well you pay for him. In the end, it's 1 hour per week, and he or she is going to save a lot more than 1 hour per week, because you just have a very fluent process. You can easily store and recover things. All the accesses will be documented. And this is what we're currently building. We even have a large project funded by InnoSwiss that will be starting to offer a solution for the small ones, not just for the big ones, because they do have solutions, always.
And is that why you set out to create this? Because these alternatives are, the big companies can do it, and there's other solutions, but it's expensive, it's costly,
Yes.
it's difficult. So you said, I am providing the easy, simple way to do it.
Yes, you know, the digital world, when we started, and maybe you're too young to really feel that, but when we started in the 90s, my first email I sent out in 1992. So basically, that's 30 years ago. So when that started, the idea was that the digital world will actually be open to everyone. It will be really for the small and for the medium and for the large ones equally. So this will be kind of opening access to everybody. I mean, before in the 15th century, you remember you had closed areas, cloisters maybe, where you had access to books. And now you have libraries, but still it's difficult. You have to go there, opening hours, not so easy. And now the internet comes, access to everyone. And funny enough, with all these regulations and audits, this access is getting restricted more and more to only the big ones. Now, I don't blame the big ones. I mean, they do a great job in order to fulfill all these requirements, but the small ones are left out, and that's not fair. So you need to create solutions for everybody. Solutions you can afford. In your case, the cost may be just $20 a month. So would you spend $20 on that?
Yes, if the alternative was all these other headaches, of course.
So you know, this is how the internet should be, and we just try to use blockchain in a way it enables everyone to enjoy the advantages of the digital world. So it's a funny thing, because normally when you hear blockchain, you say, oh, wow, Bitcoin and, like speculation, tokens and whatever. No, this is just brick and mortar. You want to do your business. You want to be sure you're safe, So funny enough, we're quite conservative, and that's the reputation we have here in Switzerland. And at the same time, we are obviously very innovative, because we create solutions that help everyone.
That's a lot to think about. It hurts my brain, but it also excites me
Sorry
at the same
about
time.
that. That wasn't
the intention. But it's kind of like how you were saying that the original vision of the internet was to have all these things accessible. Like, you can get whole college educations accessible. You can dial up almost anything on YouTube or movies for like free or very low cost. But if you're not careful and you let these huge, let Facebook and Google and Amazon gobble up all this internet space, then they'll close it off. And then you have back to the 15th century where there's the wall behind it. And this is interesting to think about with the blockchain, where, like you said, everyone thinks about Bitcoin, they think about money, but your focus is on the information, and then if you think about it, well, money kind of is information, right? Because the information in money is, well, Friedrich has this $500 in this account. That's what the information is. And it's cool, all these applications, like the indestructible data that you've mentioned, and the proof of ownership that you've mentioned, and also just proving that you have owned it this whole time and that you still have it and that no one's messed with it. It's, like I said, it's cool and it's exciting, but it also hurts my brain about it. And to help us kind of think about this cutting edge, are there any like features or advantages of this blockchain technology that you've been working on that we don't normally think about? Anything that's kind of not readily apparent?
Well, I just first want to say something about your headache. Do you drive a car?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know exactly how the car works?
No.
Okay. So just forget about your headache. It's super easy to use our solution. You just drag and drop something and that's it. And it will be protected for the next 10 years. That's basically the idea. So you may have a folder, invoices, you may have a folder, HR, whatever, just drop it into that and that's fine. You're safe. So the point is, the simplicity of the application is key. And really, the last thing I want is to give you a headache. However, of course, if you're asking questions, then I feel obliged to answer to them. But again, it's like you ask a car mechanic about how your car works. Well, then you get a headache. So, I think the good thing is if you just focus on the applications and what it helps and the surprising things you can do. You have a supply chain, for example, and you have blockchain proof for the originality of your products. Great, no? Did you ever think about that there is no link to your product? It's just all digital. So I can swap your product and that's it. So, you need to link things together. You need to make sure that the virtual world is linked to the physical world. You need to make sure that there are easy solutions out there. Everybody understands. And it's always super easy if you can use your mobile phone. You've witnessed something, you take an image, this image is going to be unchanged. It cannot be, well, it can be changed, but you can prove it was changed. So the original image can be proven as an original. And, these are easy solutions. It's not something new. You still use the same app. You just get all of this security on top. But we do also other things. So if you have if you plan a great new blockchain project, then you may want to approach us in order to do it on the right blockchain, not on the wrong one, because it's massive. There are so many solutions out there, private permission blockchains, whatever you want, and not all of them are suitable to your aims. So the thing is, it can be very expensive or much cheaper if you choose the right one. So it's like going to the doctor. So sometimes we really feel a bit like a doctor. So you come and you say, oh, I would like to do this and that, and then we will find out what you really need. and help you develop a project that then in the end is massively cheaper than it could have been with the wrong approach. So, our intention is just to help. We're there, we're in the blockchain area for many years. I'm in it for, I would say, like seven years now. And first working with universities, first giving stipendia, and the people that studied are now co-founders in these companies like OriginStamp. So it's been an organic thing, and everybody knows everyone. So we're really a little bit the typical Swiss approach, right? Where you want to be reliable, and even if it's high tech.
Well, yeah, you think about what do people think of when they hear about the Swiss or Switzerland? You think of, at least in America, we think of Swiss bank accounts, which you think of as secure and stable. And then you think of the Swiss watches, which you think of as attention to detail and thought through and always works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a very good reputation in Switzerland, and I think it's getting more important now that, for example, you see the NFT market has completely crashed, because obviously in the beginning there were mistakes made. I mean, if you point to a database that is not secure, your NFT can be stolen, because what you have in blockchain is just a link to that database. So basically, your image can be gone in a minute, or someone mints it in a different blockchain as another NFT and puts it into his social media. So people are puzzled. Well, is he the owner or are you the owner? So, you need to understand a bit about technology, yes. And I think the more you're into it, the more you want to work together with people who are really reliable. And that is a big advantage of Switzerland. There's a very good reputation. It may be a bit unusual, because you would probably prefer, or in the first moment, you would probably want to go to Silicon Valley or whatever. But here in Switzerland, at the Lake of Constance, we can at least offer you a Silicon Lake as an alternative.
Well, fun. So just to make sure that I understand the solutions and what you've been talking about, there's OriginStamp, and then there's the app where you can take a picture and get this permanent record created, including the time and the work that you did. There's a storage of larger scale files, and there's more custom solutions. Is that right? Or are there adjustments?
Yeah, absolutely. And there is an API which you can include in your own development, which is probably also one of the most important things. So if you have a project of your own, and you want to make sure that data is secure in there, at least you want to get these seals to be able to prove the data has not been changed during the process, then you can easily just use our API and you get what you need without any development. So it's like implemented in, I would say, half a day.
So easy. And some of these, as you and I both know from being around the internet for a long time, some of these projects used to take years, but now when there's an API you can just hook into and make it work, and it just goes to the cloud or goes to some remote service, things can happen very quickly and a lot more simply and with less moving parts than. Remember those old days when you had to set up your own servers and physically be hosted somewhere? Now just go and hit that API. And so you're tapped into something amazing, especially with this blockchain innovation. And since there are so many blockchain companies out there that are up and coming, I'm sure that you would have some advice for them. So if you could give one piece of advice to some up and coming blockchain technology company, what do you think that would be?
I think the most important thing is make it meaningful to your client. Don't sell the clothes that are not there. So, it's an old story. And I think the internet, of course, offers you the possibility to do whatever you want, and there will always be someone who believes in it. But I think that is a very, very wrong approach. Try to be meaningful, try to offer a solution that really offers a benefit. I think the blockchain has huge benefit if you apply it the right way. Otherwise, it just has huge costs.
That's great to think about. That's good advice. The emperor has no clothes is the phrase, right?
Exactly.
And Steve Jobs popularized this idea of the Macintosh was this device that you use to create things, or like your phone or your iPad was a way to draw or to create music. That's a good reminder that don't get so far down the rabbit hole of thinking well, here's this this tool that will speed up your database by 10%. Well, what will you do with that? What's the benefit? What are the upsides? What are the uses of this new technology? That's very good advice.
Well, and combine it with the cloud, you know. Otherwise, you know, would you trust the cloud 100%? Maybe not. But with a trustworthy certificate of your data, why wouldn't you trust the cloud? So it makes things cheaper, you know. It allows you, if you combine it with other things, and there maybe you want to come to us with your own personal idea. I mean, I'm sure there are many people out there with great ideas, and we are absolutely pleased to help them.
And should they write that idea down and take a picture and put it in OriginStamp before discussing the idea with you?
Well, yes, or they download our app and take a picture from there.
Okay, well, good advice. And so to get that conversation started, to look into the website and the app, or to speak with you, what's the next step? What's the website, or what actions should some listener take?
Well, you can contact us through the website. That's absolutely no problem. You may also find a lot of interesting information. So there is a lot of information on the website, even descriptions of the API. It's a RESTful API, which are very clear, well, which is well described, easy to understand. And then, of course, well, yes, just get in touch and shoot your question, and someone will get back to you. And I mean, you know, it's basically either you need a service from us that is available, then you click through the website and you get what you want, or you contact us and you tell us your idea, and we'll work on that idea. So, well, we're here for you.
I love it. Very generous and very straightforward. So the next step is to go to OriginStamp.com. That way you can look into what Friedrich and his team are doing as far as their blockchain innovation, some of those custom solutions that he mentioned, like with universities and things like that. You can check out the app, and you can become more fluent in this future world that we're all being in. Those old days of pencil and paper are long gone. Now it's the digital age, and now to get more tapped into the blockchain and the future of blockchain, the place to go is OriginStamp.com, and we will see you there. And thank you, Friedrich, for stopping by and for giving us some amazing answers and so many exciting things to look forward to in the future. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Robert, for your great questions, and I hope to see you soon again.